Hi everyone, how are we all doing? Glad to see so many people here already. Sorry, I was just making a coffee. Pretty good, man. How are you today? Yeah, I'm doing great. The weather's finally clearing up as well, so happy about that. Yeah, ready to do some more art. It's been yeah, pretty busy already. Like I've been reworking the compilation. So like basically the environment artist handbook that we give out. I've been reworking that for a lot of. Yeah, just redoing the design a little bit. Which means that I need to go through like a bunch of pages to clear them up. Working on that this morning. So yeah, ready to do some art. Let me just see. I think we're good to go. Yeah, let me give you an update, right? So normally I would stream on Twitch, but now we switched to YouTube. So that's like the first new thing. So welcome everybody on YouTube instead of Twitch. Happy to have you all here. I did some updates in the background as well. So I've been working on my scene a little bit in the background, and I've been in the last stream that we did on Twitch. We were kind of exploring the whole packed level actor system, which is basically replacing the blueprint system that I was using. So I've been doing some work on that front, and I've been basically remaking all the blueprints that I had at a certain point. So all of them are now like these nice blueprints that I can just slap down and go into edit, right? So that's the first big thing that I did. Then the other thing that I did was I did some tweaks to the lighting and the post-processing, especially to the blueprint, right? I've been trying to do like a better pass on what I had already. Now we have evening lighting, which is quite nice. Morning lighting as well, which is kind of just the same as evening lighting. I need to change that up a little bit. And we've got night as well, which is pretty dark. Pretty dark. It's actually not too bad, you know? Feels very nightish. Oh, that would be awesome to have you join, Luke. Yeah, you're always welcome to. You can. This is also the advantage of streaming on YouTube. Like, it's a little bit easier. You can just become a member on YouTube, and that gives you access to the whole Discord. So that's an easier way to do things as well. Yeah, but got that set up here. What else did I do? I did a little bit of work on the houses. Like, most of them were broken because I changed some of the pivots. So, yeah, the town is a little bit more intact than it was before. It's a little bit more cleaned up. And then also another thing that I did, I think I had it here, right? Is yeah, I just had some fun making like a hay storage kind of area that like also houses like animals underneath it. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we do have like a lot of prop artists as well. Like the thing with environment artists is that it usually starts out as props and then transitions into environments. So yeah, but that's totally up to you whenever you want to join. Totally up to you. So yeah, that was like a little update of where we are now with the whole setup here, right? So what I'll be working on next is probably I'm gonna refine the modular pieces that we already have. I wanna keep doing that because that's basically what I was working on the Twitch streams as well. So I will continue to do that, and then maybe I want to get closer to something more realistic looking, because the visuals that we have now for the town, let me go to the town, like they definitely feel like a bit more fantasy, right? So I wanna see if we can ground it a little bit more, and I'll need to see what I need to do for that. So yeah, that will be on the agenda for today. It's going to be a continual thing, right? So we're not going to be done with this today. Do you have a stream schedule? Well, that's a very good point. I need to set up a stream schedule. Like, I have one already, but it's not public. So that's the annoying thing, right? I stream every Wednesday in the evening and every Friday during the day. So I'll need to set that up on YouTube. Give me just a sec. I'm gonna close the blinds because the light is kind of annoying me. All right. Let's bring some light to the as well. I didn't know you streamed on Fridays. I'm never on Twitch. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is all new, right? So this is the first time that I'm actually streaming my personal work on YouTube on this channel. So, it's very, very tricky to already know that I was doing it because I never did it before. But I'll need to set that up, actually. I'll need to set up like a stream schedule. Yeah, last time we were kind of working on the roofs, right? Oh, sorry, Ahmed, are you using Lumen? If so, what's the FPS during gameplay for the scene only? So caveats to this, I am using Lumen, but this is not meant to be a game. So I'm not, and I haven't done any optimization at this point. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm running a whole bunch of stuff in the background, right? We're hitting 30 FPS currently. Which is not ideal, but you can definitely boost that up. For sure. I'm just more focused on the visuals for this. Alright, so where were we? I need to finish these things off, like these end pieces. I'm gonna see. I think we only need the one row. So yeah, that's the whole thing behind this environment, right? Like I'm not making it for, well, I technically am making it for game purposes, right? But I'm mostly focused on the environment art now, and then I'll do optimization in the end, because in this scene, nothing uses nanite, nothing uses LODs at this point, so everything is just rendering at like LOD 0 because it doesn't have any other option, which is not performant. Let's see. Roof overhang. Yeah, I will definitely have to set up like a stream schedule of some sorts to make sure that everyone knows when things are happening. Can you make a tutorial on how to optimize an environment step by step? Oh god. So I am currently working on smaller tutorials, but like making an environment, like optimizing an environment step by step, that is a giant tutorial. So probably not at this point. Okay, so what are we doing here? Let's go into this. Any suggestion to optimize your environment? There's a lot of stuff, right? If you're working with Lumen, probably look at that first. If Lumen is a thing that you want to have on for your project or not, because Lumen is really heavy. Because that's the thing, right? Like geometry is relatively easy, or like relatively, well, if you're doing it like in a decent manner. Geometry is not going to cause like the main issues when it comes to performance. It's usually more down to the lighting. That would be the like the first step. I think we can even like display that, right? So since I use this. So yeah, a lot of my rendering is coming from like just the shadows, right? So that's something to look at. Lumen screen space, Lumen lighting, all that kind of stuff is all taking like the majority of my rendering. So start there. And then if you need to optimize your actual meshes, just look into LODs, so level of details. If you're using nanite, nanite does that all for you, which is really handy. If you need to do them manually, like you need to make like manual optimized meshes. So that's it on the mesh side. Yep, the trees are made by myself. Yep. Let's see. So we're running into this issue here with the tiling of this, right? Let's see. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know what the issue is. So normally with our modules, what we did is one side is always going to be longer than the other one. But we can't necessarily do that with this one, right? We can't do that with this end piece because, I mean, it only has one side. So that means, do we need to make like a variation of it? That would be kind of annoying. Right? See if this works. Oh, really nice looking trees. I always struggle on the shader for my branches. Oh, the branches? Well, it depends on what you mean, right? Like the branches are fairly simple. It's just when the fronds, where it's a combination of the branches and the leaves, that's usually the tricky part. Let's see. So if we... That does kind of solve it, I guess, for now. I'm gonna use that as like a placeholder for this. For now. Oh, also, like another thing that I wanted to fix was the tiling between these two, right? So they have like different scales. We need to fix that as well. Let's see. So that's these two parts, right? What I'm probably gonna do... Yeah, trees are definitely like a tricky thing though, for sure. It takes a while to get those looking really good. I think what I struggle with the most at the moment is the finer detail, you know, because I made like a generator inside of geometry nodes in Blender, but I think I'm struggling with like making it look decent while not having it look like very procedural. I need to refine it a little bit more. Let's see. Faces. Let's just select all the roof tiles from this. And then see. That fixed it. So I'm basically taking a chunk from my other roof and just basically transplanting it onto this little overhang that we have here. And seeing if that kind of fixed the tiling. It did. It's looking better. Now the only issue that we have is where the two come together. It creates like a little bit of a visual lip. Yeah, like we can see here, right? So we could potentially take those two rows out. Oh no, like it's, you only can take out one because else we're breaking the... Yeah, glad to have so many people already here. Feel free to ask any questions and just, yeah. Ask any questions. If you're wondering how I do certain stuff or if I'm going too quick, let me know. I'll happy to help out as much as I can. Because right now, yeah, we're just doing like these modular pieces, right? And I'm just trying to see how they all kind of line up. I guess what we could do, we select everything and just move them all up a little bit. And see if they kind of match. Yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, that's looking cool. Love that. Does mean that we'll need to fix these end pieces as well. On one side again. Maybe we can just sneakily push them in there. I'm always confused about the level artist and environment artist role. That's a good question, Ravindra. I hope that I pronounced that correctly. We do have a video on that. Like on the channel, we have a video called Environment Artist Roles and Responsibilities. I think it goes into that a little bit. We also have a resource that kind of goes into the same vein on our website too. Let me link that. So I will link this in the chat. You can check that out. That's the right one. Yeah, that is. Yeah, but in short, the difference between an environment artist, you have to look at environment art as the container for all the other environment art specializations. That's how I kind of look at it. And that's also how companies treat it as well, because they usually say like, hey, environment artist, no matter if you're working on sculpting rocks or if you're doing set dressing or anything like that, right? So look at the environment artist, if you're talking about that, as the container of all the other stuff. And then level artist is a specialization of environment art, which is going to specialize in just purely set dressing and telling stories in the environment. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what I did on Far Cry as well. I was a level artist on that project, and my responsibility was purely taking the assets that were already there and then turning those into like stories in the environment. That was my job. I mean, yeah. It was a bit more broad than that because we were a small team, so we had to wear a lot of hats, but that's basically what the role comes down to anyway. And that's also a thing you need to know. Like in the industry, it's very hard to define like very specific roles or categories because they're so dependent on the studio itself and the product itself, right? So take that into account. Yeah, in short, level artists just make really interesting stories with already existing assets in the game. Okay, we got these two ready to go. Let's see, I'm just gonna add these two in here so that we can check them out. Let's just re-import both of these. Nice. It's looking cool. So now we can basically create a roof that has like any dimension if you wanted to. But to get hired as a level artist without any past experience, it's so hard to get hired, I guess. It is. I would always say like don't focus on one specific thing. Like as a level artist, right? Like you know by now that you need to be able to build cool stories. However, if you're only going to be focusing on that, so let's say you use megascans or you use asset packages from the Unreal Engine marketplace to make cool stories, you become very easy to replace, right? Because usually an environment artist can do the same thing as well. So what you usually end up doing is you branch out and you make props and then you go into environments at a certain point, and then you can get hired as a level artist that also has experience with making their own assets and sculpting terrain, and you just become more well-rounded overall instead of being hyper focused on one thing, because the industry changes fast, right? And I don't think, yeah, maybe to what you were saying as well, I don't think it's even doable to get hired purely as a level artist without any additional skills. I've never really heard about it. Yeah, something to keep in mind. I would honestly say if you know that you want to create cool stories, if you want to build worlds, I guess, right? That's what I always was interested in. You have to build it up in stages. You have to start with making individual props and then learn all the additional workflows like trim sheets and how to make your most out of tilables, and yeah, just take it step by step. All the art tests require you to model one asset at least. Yeah, that's a very good point. That is very true. I have... Oh... Yeah, true. So I was thinking about an artist that I did, like, let's say 5 years ago. And that artist required me to make a level and only gray box the elements of the level. So I had to make like a modular kit, but it didn't require me to go into detail, right? So I don't know, maybe there are artists out there that don't require you to model anything. But I mean, the chance for that is so slim, right? Because if you look at the whole thing, telling a story by composing things together in a picture is a relatively easy thing to do. Like the technical requirements for that are pretty low, which means that it's super easy to find people for it. So that means that it's super competitive and easy to replace. So you don't really want to be in that spot, even if the company was directly hiring for only those skills. That would be my 2 cents on that. Okay, so what do we need to do here? So the top of the roofs. Let's have a look. Roof top. Where are they? Four-meter rooftop. So we did the 4-meter one. That's this one, right? So we did that last week, which is good. I think that I might have deleted the other one. Let's have a quick look. Maybe it's hidden in here. Oh. No, I think I might have deleted it. Okay, no worries. What we'll do is we'll do it the other way around. So I'm gonna export from Unreal. Let's see. Oh, I technically had the FBX anyway. So then I'm just gonna add that in here. To the kids. So this comes in with the collision mesh as well. But we do collision mesh. Oh, it had like the end of it as well. Interesting. And we're just gonna quickly reconstruct that. Hey, Arts and Arts! Thanks for the subscription. Appreciate it. So, was I? So we want that to connect with this one, right? Is that right? Yeah, so that pivot is over there. I'm just looking at the location. So this is 700. That's like 1.5 meters. So right now I'm not going to be able to snap to it unless I do it like this, because the whole thing is that I currently have like a meter grid. So if I have to work in like increments of like 0.5 meter, I need to do it in orthographic because that gives me like more control. And now we can just start reconstructing this, right? So it's already like a duplicate. So I'm just gonna remove this from it. Do you have some underrated or like resource recommendations to get into geometry nodes? I did look at a whole bunch of stuff for geometry nodes. Because that's how I'm generating all these rooftops, right? Just don't have them on me at the moment. Yeah, there's like a fantastic amount of good tutorials on YouTube. But yeah, usually when I look at tutorials, I don't look at specific things anymore, or like I don't look at like broad things anymore. So I just look for specific things that I'm stuck on, and then I'll look for videos on that. So to me, like when I'm exploring geometry nodes, for example, I'm usually just playing around until I get stuck, and then I'll look up tutorials. So I can't really give you any like good overviews. This And then what we'll do... Right, thanks. No worries. Sorry that I couldn't be more helpful there. Let's see. Let's just align them first, so they kind of match up with the pattern underneath it. Then we can just remove the lines of tiles we don't need. Probably. Probably only two. I think one. Then we'll just remove the rest that we don't need. Actually, I love to do level arts, especially. Sorry, I won't be able to focus on it due to the traditional route which the school and institute teaches us, where we create our assets. Blah blah. It takes a very long time, and we focus assets making instead of level art. Well, this is the thing that I was saying, right? That's not a bad thing because it's gonna make you more future-proof. Because for someone to come in and create stuff with already existing assets, it's quite easy. So I know that it might be painful for you now, or not fun, right? Because it's not what you want to do. But what you can do is just say like, hey, look, I'm doing my university stuff on the one side, right? Where I have to focus on the asset creation. And then do the complete opposite when you get home and you have some free time. Just take like a bunch of Megascan stuff and make like cool looking art with it. Is that Blender? Yes, it is. Okay, so we're then hold up before we do that. And also, hi Aladdin, welcome to the chat. Wow, it's starting to look really good. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole cult, you know, at this point. But I feel like the cult situation has kind of died down with Blender. But I freaking love Blender, honestly. It's free. It has a good inbuilt renderer. It makes me feel creative when I'm modeling. Like, what's not to like, you know? Set the pivot here. Probably. I need a ref on this side as well. Just gonna move this over so that I can see where these tiles need to align to. Amazing for indie devs, especially on a budget. Yeah, honestly, I 100% agree, Roy. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of in the same mindset as like an indie dev, because the reason why I looked at Blender was because it was free. You know, and I was like, okay, what if I don't want any like how would I even explain this? Like monetary friction, right? Where I'm thinking about like, oh shit, I have to use this program because I'm paying for it, so I need to make some sort of way to make money out of it. I wanted to get rid of that completely. So what, yeah, I mean, that's the thing that attracted me to Blender, and I got into Blender before the 2.8 update. And it was decent, you know, but 2.8 like changes everything. Like, it was nuts, the amount of changes that it brought to the table. So yeah, I've been playing around with it ever since, and I've never looked back, you know. Let's see. So that is snapping to 0.5 meter. That means that I need to move my up a little bit. That makes sense. Oh, that doesn't. Well, that doesn't make sense. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the middle. Middle in between these two things. Oh no, it's not. Now it is. Okay. Is Blender gonna replace Maya? No, not for a long time. I mean, it depends. It depends on what studio you're in, what you prefer. It's more about personal preferences and what studios use as like their tool set. That's gonna be the dictation of if it's gonna replace Maya or not. It's half of it. Okay, now we're in a good place. I think we just need to kind of squish it in a little bit. Let's have a look in the chat here. Thanks all for being so active as well. This is awesome. So let's have a look on the same topic here, right? I actually use Maya, but I'm now considering moving to Blender just to stay up to date. Yeah, that could be a good move, right? It depends on where you are at in your personal life. Because let's say if you're thinking about picking a Blender, but you are a student currently, then it doesn't make sense to like throw out all you've learned. Well, not throw out everything you've learned, but like learn a new program that is gonna basically give you the same things that you're already doing in Maya or Max. So I would honestly hold off until you get a job in the industry, because the chances are if you're going into like the bigger studios, they will still use Max and Maya anyway, to a large degree. And I say this from a perspective that we were using Blender, right? So I was using Blender professionally as well. So there's, I think objectively, that is still the case. I see that changing over time, and I've already seen some of the changes, but it makes sense. Yeah, especially if you have a free license, you might just it's just better to keep using it. Yeah, like Roy is saying, it's not cost effective for big studios to change their pipeline, because you have to look at all the tools that they've built. Like all the tools that these companies have built over the years, which have cost them like literal millions, if not, I don't know, like multi-millions of dollars, right? They're not just gonna be like, oh, cool, we're just gonna switch it all up now. That's gonna take some time. I think it will happen. It's just gonna take a bit of time. So let's see. What we have to do here is we'll have to... Oh yeah, this is mirrored, right? So apply that mirror. And what we'll have to do with the tiles on this side, I'm gonna move them over. Space. Oh no, we don't want to just move them over. We need to actually copy a row here, then remove... Oh, not copy. We could just move this thing. Oh, Ravindra, you're coming in with the big questions. Let's have a look here, though. So AU is asking, how do you give the material mixture with displacement in UE5 in your current projects? I don't use displacement anymore. Like tessellation and all that stuff is gone, right? So, like on the actual terrain, it's honestly pretty flat. And most of it just comes from like adding geometry detail on top of it. There are ways that you can get back like tessellation. There's height field based terrain, which it's not using tessellation, right? But it's like height field based, which you can use to create like sort of like replacement for tessellation, but it was very unstable when I was using it. So you have to explore that a bit yourself. Let's have a look here. So where do we want to place the pivot? Which building were we working on? This one, right? Or just place in the molding tools. Yeah, that's also a good shout. I guess with the whole purpose of nanite and what they're doing with Unreal Engine 5 going forward is that you use nanite as much as possible, right? So if you want to create like extra detail, you have to do it in geometry now. So that means that if you have like your base terrain is still going to be valuable, right? But then if you want to add additional detail on top of it, you have to just add like geometry on top of it. The way that I'm feeling about it though. Because that's if you then add that geometry in it, and those are nanite meshes as well, they factor into the whole ecosystem, and it's gonna just look better, right? That's what they're doing in the demos as well. I wonder if they will revert that decision. A lot of people annoyed. No, they won't. I don't think so. Because the whole thing, if you take a step back, right? Like tessellation was basically a system that made it easier for you to fake depth where you couldn't add geometry because geometry wasn't optimized enough to be used on such a wide scale. So I think this is just going forward. So I think this is going forward. Like that's the system that they're going to use, right? Like nanite and lumen and all that stuff. Mazeltov is asking, can you show us how you've used the material to be modular and how they are unwrapped on a model? Yeah, sure. So most of it is just, if you're talking about the wood, right? Let me see if we can have, like, let's say this staircase is just using one texture. It's just a trim sheet that looks like this, which has like a whole bunch of dimensions for different variations of like plank widths and like beams. And then we have like the tops and the ends of like beams here, and then I have like some destroyed elements as well that I can layer on top of it, and some nails. And then what that looks like is just like this. That's what the UV looks like. Am I using nanite? Nope, I'm not using nanite. I hope this helps, Mazeltov. But yeah, that's the way that I'm approaching it. Yeah, I think that's normal, right? Like that it baffles people because people that are getting into this whole thing like assume that everything in games is made uniquely. But I mean, so much of it is trim sheets. I mean, if you look at all of this, all the stuff that's made out of wood is using one texture. That's it. Just one texture, you know? And it's more about like how you actually use it, right? Because you can make some pretty detailed things, right? Just you need to be a little bit more creative when it comes to like UVing. How do you cover the edges if you use trim sheets? Yeah, but that's fine. You know, if you look at it, yeah, you can see the edges. You could technically, what you could do is you could apply this approach, right? Where you have like an inset that comes out a little bit so that you have like a smoother transition going to the sides, which is a thing that they do in a lot of games. Or you add like additional decals on the side as well. And for example, the roof is a tileable. Yep. That's a tileable. That is just individual tiles mapped onto a tileable. The reason for that is I can strip away the geometry and then make it a flat plane underneath, and it will still look the same because it's sampling from the same texture. So that's like an optimization thing that I'll have to do in the end. Because you don't want all these tiles to be visible at all ranges, right? At a certain point, you want to phase them out. Can you show the roof texture? Yeah, sure. It's just a tileable roof texture. I mean, it's not that exciting. Let me... textures. Roofs. Let me actually... I think I put that in the wrong folder. Roof tiles. That's it. That's the texture. So it has tiles built into it, right? Which makes it easier for me to then just like use that geo. You could also do it the other way where you create like unique details or like unique tiles as well. Do that too. And just scatter them and then like find a way how you can bake a tileable from that too. AU is asking, can you explain a little bit how you find the right exposure for light? So very simple. The way that I use it, because I'm not a lighting artist, is just by looking at it, and if it feels good, then it's good. I know it's super stupid to say it like that, but that's how I do it. I don't use any rules or anything like that. I just look at the picture, right? Well, not like this. I just look at the picture and then I'm like, okay, I'll maybe tweak it a bit. Maybe change it up. It's very, very manual. Can you show the unwrap of the roof? Oh god, yeah, and then I'll have to get into some more work. What's that? Let's have a look. Where are the roofs? So, for example, I think I'm only sampling like a minor portion of it anyway. Let's have a look. Oh, that's the AO of it. A bunch of stuff in here that's no longer relevant. Yeah, but you get a gist of it, right? So that's just how I'm doing the UVs. I was just too lazy and I only sampled like a couple of tiles that looked interesting. That's it. What you could potentially do is also just like do an unwrap based on the camera angle. You could do that too if you wanted. Or just project the texture on top of it, right? Alright, so where was I? We were making this rooftop thing. Where is the pivot of that now? Hello, can you... Oh. So the pivot is on the end. But that's honestly not a good way to set the pivot for this. So... I'm gonna be doing... You also have texture for broken tiles. Nope. No, I don't have textures for broken tiles. So we might... Yeah, so I'm just gonna add this to that, and then we'll change the pivot to... So from the red line to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm just gonna apply rotation of this pivot. Gonna see if this worked first, and then we're gonna clean it up a little bit. Probably gonna have to re-import with a new file. Good. Where did this go to? So to the roof. Oh, damn it. We forgot to change the name of it. Aloya, welcome to the chat. How are you doing? So, that's a good question. So what do you think is better for artists? Know all kinds of modeling on a low level, or push one or two directions only? So you mean specialization or generalization, right? It depends on what the goal is that you're trying to achieve. Because I went through specialization first and then generalization. And that's usually how it goes. If you want to get a job in the industry, let's say for like a larger company, you will have to specialize rather than generalize. But if you want to... Oh, that's the wrong one. If you want to work for a smaller indie company, let's say, you need to do the opposite thing, right? So it's very much dependent on what you want to achieve or what you want to do in life, I guess. Because I think in the long term, it's better to generalize so that you have like a bunch of skills that you can pull from to apart from being, or like compared to being the best in what you can be. The reasons why I say this is you're easier to replace if you only know like one thing really well. But let's say you know props, right? You know how to create props and you're really good at that. But what if in the future there is something that can replace that really easily? I'm not saying that you're going to get out of a job immediately, right? But it's going to be dangerous for you to remain specialized at that point, I feel. Because then you need to be constantly at the top of your game and basically be the best person that there is, right? That's how I look at it, anyway. What do you all think about it? Better to generalize or specialize?
Let's see. Is that the one? That's the one. Yeah, nice. It's looking good. We're still running into issues with this thing over here. Kind of annoying. I'm gonna fix this end piece first, though. What do you think, Aloya? Like, what would you prefer, or what are you currently thinking about doing? Is this aligned to the grid, though? Yeah, yeah. This is a 2-meter piece, okay. Let's see. What was this knife thing again? Okay, yeah. Got through it all. So, see, cut through. That's what we need. See, cut through. Yeah, like. Okay, there we go. So this is a little overhang that we want to make here. So this also needs to align with some of this stuff too. Bring that in as a reference. Maybe only. This is pretty messy over here, though. Just deleting some of the stuff that we don't need. Oh, let's make sure we clean all this stuff up as well. There's a little overhang called here. I'm gonna copy the name, paste that in here, and get rid of the ESM because it's gonna be added by the tool. I am so lazy when it comes to this, so I'm gonna get rid of all of this. And what I'll do like the roof tiles. I'm making big mess out of this, huh? I shouldn't have cut those roof tiles actually. We can duplicate them over. Where is that? So correct base attributes. That's what I need. This is crucial when you're working with trim sheets, by the way. If you want to make make stuff like adhere to your trim sheet without having to redo the UVs, like you can just use this to just move the UVs for you, which is super handy. I can just move all this stuff in place. And I'm pressing double G as well. Oh wait, so we don't need all of this. Oh my god. Yeah, such a good option, honestly. What do we need to do here? Clean up. We got this little overhang. We got the tiles attached to it as well. I'm gonna add that to it. Then I think we then export this. We should be good. Aloya is trying to specialize on making environments and props. What is good for the future? But now I think I'm not even junior, so I asked to know, do I learn it the right way? Yeah, so usually the way that it works, or like the way that I recommend it, is that it's very tricky for someone beginning as an artist to make a full environment because there's so many skills and so many things you need to know. That's why I'm saying start with props first, right? Because props is going to teach you like a whole bunch of things that you need to know to make environments anyway, just on like a very small scale. So start with a small and simple prop, get to know like all the technical stuff first, then make more intricate props and move your way up to small dioramas, and then maybe at a certain point you make an environment. Because environments are not easy. You know, like they really aren't. You need to have so many skills from like just the stuff we talked about today, right? We talked about trim sheets, tileable textures, baking stuff down, how to optimize stuff, tree creation, grass creation, landscape textures. That's are all things that you can specialize on individually, but you need to know them to a certain degree to execute them well in a full environment. So it's very tricky. Mazel tov, are there other parts of the series? So there's a couple of them on Twitch, and I'm currently transferring some of it over to YouTube. So there should be like a hidden playlist that I'll share. I think next stream, I'll get that done for next stream, so that we can share some of the previous parts as well. Okay, let's get this in. It's all good. Yep, pivot is screwed up, but that was expected. Hey, nice. Okay, so currently it doesn't line up with the wooden plank idea, but I might... The more that I think about it, the less I'd like the wooden plank on the edge. I might just remove that. So yeah, environments are a very tricky thing to do. I tried a whole bunch of bigger environments and they never worked out because I wasn't good enough to execute them, right? And that comes with the caveat that I wanted to do everything myself, which is also not ideal, because you can optimize your way to making a full environment if you say, hey, I make all the props, right? And I make I make all the props and I do like the storytelling, but when it comes to foliage and grass and all that stuff, I'm just gonna use megascans. And I'm not gonna focus on that at all, right? That's also an option, and it's a very valid option, right? No matter what people say, like sometimes you don't need to do everything yourself. Even though I'm doing it right in front of you now, right? It's not. You don't have to. It's good if you want to say like, hey, I'll just focus on the thing that I enjoy, and then the stuff that I don't enjoy, I'll just let someone else take care of it or use a tool for it. Yep, unless you want to sell them, then Megascans is a no-go. Yep, exactly. Well, you can, you cannot sell Megascans itself, right? You cannot redistribute it. But what you can do is make an environment that has Megascans in it, and then once you want to sell it, strip all the Megascan stuff out of it. And make sure that you're not doing any like false advertisement and all that stuff when showing it off. Is it good enough to get hired with only making props? Yeah, 100%. I know a whole bunch of people who know how to make kick-ass props and they got hired because they make kick-ass props, for sure. Because that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying with if you do prop art, if you make cool looking props, moving to something else is gonna lean into what you've already learned when you're creating props anyway, right? So let's take the example of you're making a prop. So you know how to make props, you know how to bake, you know how to texture, and you know all that kind of stuff. But now you're interested in making trees. Trees are actually gonna use like a lot of the same techniques that you would use before. You're just gonna do them in like a different way. You're gonna use a different program for it, right? But you're still gonna be baking stuff down. In this case, on a plane or multiple planes. And you're still gonna be very aware of how to optimize UVs, because that's really important when it comes to trees. But you can see that the same lessons that you learned with creating props are gonna translate to all the other aspects of environments. That's why I think a lot of people, including myself, say, hey, if you want to get started in environment art, you gotta take the steps to get there, and prop art would be a good first step. You want to get feedback on my environment art. So if you want to get feedback on your environment art, Ravindra, like join the community. That's honestly the best thing that I can say. We do, I personally do like a weekly feedback event every Wednesday. And people from the community get front row seats to that. Okay, so we got this done. This roof is looking pretty good. Love what happened there. I think the other roof is also pretty good. Let's see. Let's have a look at some of the other stuff that we need to do. So this roof is looking pretty good, apart from the stuff up here. We can actually, I think. Thanks for the advice. No worries. If you got any more questions, feel free to shout them out in the chat. I think we had a top trim here. Does that work? Not good enough. It doesn't cover enough space, I guess. Like we need to. It would work if it was like a little bit bigger, I guess. Looks like the building has a little hat now. Because I need it to be like more embedded, right? But then that's gonna cause issues with the tiles here. How I tackle the trees. Trees are a whole subject by themselves and very technical to dive into. So if I want to do that justice, then we'll have to do that another time. Would be cool to dive into them though. But the way that I handle trees. And I went pretty hard on this. I made my own tree generator tool in Blender geometry nodes from scratch, right? So those are the links that I went to make trees, because again, didn't want to use SpeedTree, but didn't want to pay for it, you know. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it myself. Yeah. So even though I would love to dive into it, it's probably gonna be a freaking rabbit hole once we do. We got like most of this stuff sorted out. I think the roofs are in a very good place. We need to find this corner and make that corner still. Let's see. So let's do that. And then let's do the roofs for like all these attachment bits as well. That should be like a relatively quick thing to do. Yeah, I've heard of Tree. I've actually used it. I just didn't like how it worked for me. And I've also tried M-Tree, which is also I think I can't remember. It's been ages since I tried it. So take that into account, right? It's ages since I tried these tools. And I've also tried the built-in one, Sapling. I'm just very picky when it comes to that stuff, so I did my own thing. Again, not advise this to anyone, right? Like it's not normal that you make your own tools just because you want to make like trees for a project. Just want to throw that out there. That's not the way that it should work. Just want to make sure that we got that clear, right? Let's see. So this needs to tile with that. This end. What we're going to be doing. There's a couple of questions here, right? So let me make sure that I don't miss them. Hey, coffee addiction! Welcome to the chat. Happy to help. Have you here. Thanks again for all the help you're sharing. No worries. I'm having fun when doing this, so. Did we miss one? No, I think we got it. So Sebastian is asking, hey, I have a question. As someone that recently got into the industry, I'm struggling finding time as well as energy for my own projects. Do you have any tips to overcome this? Well, this is a tough question, right? And the answer that I always come down to is you gotta get rid of the whole thinking that you need to find energy or that you have to find the motivation, because that's a very fickle thing. Like, you're not going to be motivated consistently, right? And if you rely on motivation to be your sole driver, it's not going to be consistent output. So what you actually want to do is you want to move away from like using motivation as like a driving force, but just set yourself up for a habit. So the way to build this up is you got to start very small with building a habit, right? And this is very much a personal thing, but I'll tell you the way that it worked for me. The system itself should be adjustable to your needs. So the system that I use is, there's probably a name for it, but the way that I do it is I work at least half an hour, like each day, on like a personal project, right? That's the way that I do it. And the whole reason why it's only half an hour is because usually once you get started, you do more than half an hour But if you're really not feeling like it today at all, you can only do half an hour and then be done with it, right? But the whole reason why I like that system is because you do that every day, you get into a habit of just creating for like half an hour, and then at a certain point what's going to happen naturally is that you have a habit and you're going to keep on building on top of it, because you're going to get to a point where it's like, like Roy saying, right? Like 30 minutes, that's not enough. Yeah, do it to an hour, maybe do it 2 hours, you know? But that's why I say it's a very personal thing. You have to define. In the beginning, it's good to start with half an hour, and then you have to see where it ends up taking you. Because I started with half an hour, but that quickly went to like a couple of hours a day. I'm also very work driven. You know, I get a lot of satisfaction out of just creating this stuff compared to doing anything else. Like, sounds weird, but I get bored when I play games these days. Right? So it's just like I'd rather be creating or like building something than actually like enjoying someone else's creations, right? I want to enjoy my own creation process. Yeah, like the building the habit thing is probably like the most important thing that I can say. Yeah, because you can't really rely on like the whole motivational thing, as I've said myself. There's a couple of good books that I can recommend. I'll give this a go. Yeah, there's a couple of books. Let me see. I have them here. I like the one called Extreme Ownership from Jocko Willink. It's more of a die-hard approach, right? Like it's a former US Navy SEAL that is kind of saying like a bunch of stuff about like how you put your life in order, and yeah, how to basically structure your life a little bit. But it's very much embedded within like military, like what they teach in the military, right? But I still got my own lessons out of it, which was really interesting. Specifically, yeah, I think there's a bunch of good books out there, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll start with just looking on YouTube too. There's a bunch of free resources on YouTube. So yeah, I think what would I look for is like how to structure your life, right? Something like that, something very generic, and just start there. I'll actually see if I can build up like a resource list, because that would be pretty useful. How to get in your community? So you can or become a member on YouTube here, which will give you access to the community, or you can go to our website, which is beyondextend.com. Let me link it in the chat. You can get access through our Patreon there as well. How do you manage naming conventions? When I do modular kits, I always end up getting into chaos in naming conventions. Yeah, it's like Roy says, right? You need to keep to their naming conventions. So SM is for static mesh, T is for textures, MI is material instances. You just have to, yeah, kind of be consistent from it, like from the beginning. I think that's probably the best tip that I can give. And I'm not a hero in this either, you know? I spent like a whole bunch of time cleaning up this file as well. So I'm not a hero in naming conventions by any stretch of the imagination. But
I'll see if I can give an example here, right? Okay, so these are pretty good. Like these are all called SM, which is pretty good. But yeah, you can see here, like I got a couple of grass meshes. They don't have like any tag to them. The rest have tags, so yeah. Yeah, plan ahead. Definitely. Took hours to rename. I think for my first asset pack that I sold, I spent like 2 weeks trying to clean it up and like getting it ready for the Unreal Engine marketplace. And yeah, it's not fun. But it needed to happen. Oh shit. Forgot to deselect correct face attributes. No. Let's just edge up a little bit. These tiles on top here look pretty ugly, but I'm not going to bother replacing them currently. Hey Unbreakable, how's it going? Ali Big said subscribe, thank you so much. And welcome to the community. Let's see, so overhang small. That's what we want, right? Oh, sorry, Coffee Diction. I missed your question. I'm struggling with getting the scope of my projects right. How important is the size of a project for portfolio works? Scope doesn't matter at all. Like, the thing that you want to show off on your portfolio is that you got good artistic insight and you focus on the quality of things. Because you have to think about it in a studio setting, right? Like how do you get bigger projects in a game setting? Like what do you think, like let me phrase it better, right? Like how do game studios achieve bigger projects? How do they get there? Yeah, 100%. Having more people work on it. 100% right. 100% right. Yeah, and that's also what I say to a lot of people, right? It's I know that I'm creating my own world, and I keep saying don't use this as an example of what like an environment art portfolio should be at all. I'm just doing this because I'm having fun, and I'm not limited anymore, or I'm not looking for a job in the industry anymore, right? At least at this point. So I'm more free when it comes to that. But if you want to, if you're new to all of this and you want to get into the games industry, then yeah, like it's purely focused on the quality, right? Obviously, there is a certain element of like what do you want to become, because you could be making props all day, every day, have them look good, but if you don't like making them, then you probably don't want to make props, right? So how do you transition that into like an environment artist without having to make full environments? That's where you can go into like diorama settings, right? Like just one room, maybe even like a faded diorama that has like faded edges, so you don't have to make a whole room even, right? But that allows you to go a little bit more deep into the storytelling of things, right? You can start telling stories. Yeah, there's still ways that you can kind of achieve those things without without having to make like full environments, right? Yeah, I'll turn it down a notch then. Wait, got it. Appreciate you, man. Thanks. And by the way, greetings from Berlin as well. Oh, hey.
Nobody's gonna ask what's beyond the scene. What? Let's have a look at some of the other questions here. Is there a tip for how to divide one whole model, like one big house, into a modular kit? Or any cautions I should know about? So, there is, right? There is a whole bunch of stuff that you need to know about. I've written like a bunch of tips on this as well, which you can get access to if you become like a member of the community. I'm trying to think if we have like free resources that actually go into like the modularity approach of it. I don't think we actually do, and that's actually a good shout. Might be worth investing some time in that. Yeah, but like just look up modularity. There's a bunch of good courses on ArtStation Learning, which is free as well. So they have like a pretty good course on how to break something down into like a modular piece, or like modular pieces. Let's see. Export this thing. Get this in here. Aloya has subscribed. Thank you so much. Title. Yeah, we just switched from Twitch to YouTube, so that's why we're here now. Look at that. Okay, so we need to replace this with a 1 meter. Oh, that's annoying. It's like 0.5 meter that I'm left over. Oh, I really enjoy our podcast. Thank you so much. Oh my god, the podcast feels so old now. But thank you so much. Yo, Giacomo! How's it going, buddy? Swinging in to say hi. I appreciate it, man. Let's have a look at some of these questions here, all right? So, oh, this is on the topic of making really big environments. So, 3 days ago, I was planning an entire spaceship with rooms, basically a waste of time, and I should focus on 1 or 2 small rooms. Yeah, so the way that I would break this down is if you want to make an entire spaceship, again, that's a really big project, right? And you kind of want to set yourself up for success. So what you do instead is you just say like, hey, look, I'm going to work on something pretty small. I'm going to work on, like you said, 1 room even, 1 small room. And once you've made that, then you could potentially do like a 2nd room. But that means that you're kind of building in save points for yourself, right? So the 1st room is done. 1st room looks kick-ass. Cool. You can already set that on your portfolio and then maybe do like a 2nd room if you wanted to. But in most cases, what actually happens is you've already spent so much time on that 1 single room that you get overwhelmed thinking about like the entire spaceship itself. So usually people end up dropping it, right? Because they get overwhelmed by the potential of this big spaceship. So yeah, that's why I recommend like thinking about it in the way of like building save points for yourself, where you just build that 1 tiny room, and if you then still want to do another room, right? And you're still building up that whole spaceship, but you're doing it in like a sustainable way without throwing out like a bunch of work. Like I have done many times before, you know, like my project Graveyard is bigger than the project that ever made it out. Oh, found a channel 10 days ago. That's awesome. Thanks for all the support already then. Let's have a look. Can you recommend some courses or interesting sources to discover something new and useful for a beginner artist? yeah, I'm gonna do our own plug, right? Like I've written like a whole document with like weekly tips that are, I think, are a good way to just expose yourself to like new things that are happening in the industry or like new techniques, and then you can go ahead and like do a deep dive yourself, right? And you get access for that. For if you become a community member, you get access to that, like that's included. Or if you don't like the whole subscription thing, you can just go to our website and like get the PDF itself. But I think I've written over 250 pages at this point, so there should be something in there that might interest you. But any good sources, any good additional sources to discover something new and useful for beginner artists? Oh, that's I guess ArtStation Learning is really good. Not, I would say not necessarily for like a beginner artist, but there's some good stuff in there for sure. And other than that, I don't really know. That would be interesting to maybe do like an article about or something. Okay. Let's do some of these attachments then, because I think we did the whole building kit itself, right? If we just hit this. Let's see if we're missing some pieces. Oh, this this building is still partially destroyed. To fix that at some point. I think we're pretty good. Makes sense. There are definitely some points I like to show that don't fit into one. I prioritize them. Yeah. Look, the way that I always give advice, or the how should I say this? Like the point that I'm using to always give advice is I'll try to give it from like an approachable way, how to get you into the industry or like a game industry position in the quickest way, right? And like the most sustainable way, so the least amount of time spent on like projects that you're never gonna finish. Mazeltov, how do you approach the ivies, for example? Are those planes on top of each other? Yeah, let me have a look at it in a little bit. Let me just get back to you. I think our dog is playing with something that's making a lot of noise. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. How do you approach the ivy? So that's one of the tips that I wrote in like the whole compilation thing. But the workflow that I use is I make an atlas, right, of like all the bits of ivy that I need on like a flat plane. I then cut them out like as individual bits of ivy, and I then use particle effects in Blender to scatter them on top of whatever shape I want. That's the way that I work with that. Have a look, and then I think for the shapes, they are a bit outdated and they don't have the backing to them anymore. Like normally, yeah, normally they have some sort of vines going on, right? Yeah, these are quite outdated at this point, but yeah, that's the way that I approach it. These drastically need an update though. You only need 1 or 2 projects to get into the industry. Yeah. That's like, it all comes down to quality over quantity, right? If you have like 1 or 2 really good things in your portfolio that really are eye-catching, that could be enough. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, let's steal one of these roofs and move it over to... Probably gonna... Oh. And I'm gonna move it over to attachments and just get rid of the roofs again. Just to give me something to use here, right? Yeah, that's 100% right. It's all, again, it's all about just the quality of the stuff that's on your portfolio, right? That's what it's all about. I will say that if you, I think that there is, I wouldn't recommend like one environment. The whole reason why I don't recommend like one environment is because you're putting all your eggs into one basket, which is really dangerous. Because if it then doesn't work out, then yeah, you've put all this time into like one environment where you could potentially make like a smaller environment that you could have done 2 at the same time instead of 1. So it's something to be aware of. Which again, just comes down to quality, right? The quality needs to be there. Take the top row here, just smush it in a little bit more. Hey Guillaume, how's it going? Welcome to streaming on YouTube. Been kind of messy, huh, lately? Just switching from one platform to the other, start streaming on Twitch, and now we're here, but this is gonna be a more permanent thing, I promise. How long did it take you to learn before you first had a job in 3D? So I went to university for game art, and this is the University of Digital Arts and Entertainment in Belgium, because that's where I'm from. DIA for short. So I spent, like, normally it's a course that lasts 3 years, but yeah, not a lot of people make it through in 3 years because there's a lot to learn. So I did 4 years over that entire course. And that course is not only game art, right? Like I think you technically graduate as like a technical artist because it also teaches you scripting, animation, programming, all that kind of stuff. So I have like a base knowledge of all of it. I just decided to like really specialize into environment art. So that was 4 years of uni. And then I had an internship in the last year at Frontier Developments. So I guess 3.5 years, but I feel like that doesn't show the entire picture because there was a lot of a lot of learning through the entire process, right? Like when I went into uni, I wanted to be a concept artist. So because I was drawing constantly and I was doing like car mechanics before that, and then I went into like advertisement design, and then I went into like uni for like the game art thing, right? Which the whole uni thing was basically just like by chance. Because it basically the reason why we went there is because it gave us like a day off from the school that we were already going to. So it's purely by chance that we were like, yeah, let's have a look. This is the uni that I went to. I just added the link in the chat. But yeah, 3.5 years, well, let's say 4 years, right, to round it off. And then I spent 7-ish years in the industry, and from last year, like May last year, I've been doing this full time. Just like creating resources for environment artists, doing mentorships, running the community, helping people out as much as I can. Had the chance to go there, but then decided to study on my own. Why did you decide that? If it's too personal, you don't have to say. But I'm just curious in the reason. What the reason why is. I thought I heard that right. My work is doing the tour for them next week. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, this is still the geometry node setup. What? Did I? So I'm not baking it down 3D with layered. What I am doing is I'm cutting it out in the LODs at a certain point. I have not done that setup yet, but what is going to happen is that once you zoom out or get away from this, like it will just revert to the tileable. But if you look at nanite, you can achieve this look with like a lot of geo. So I don't think it's that unacceptable to have it in a production environment. Also, the inspiration that I got from this technique, sort of, is from the Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed Valhalla kind of does the same thing, where they have actual tiling on their rooftops because you can get so up and close to it. I have some screenshots of it too. Let me see. AC Valhalla. Where are my rooftop screenshots? There they are. So they're doing it in an optimized way, right? But they still have like geo coming out of it. And there's multiple ways of doing this, right? Like this is the cool thing about game art. Sometimes what they do is they only do it on the edges because that's what the geometry only cares about. But they actually did it on the whole thing. You can see that they cut out like the edges of the roof as well. You can, yeah. Edges with Parallax could also be a good one. Yeah. Gotta get back to work. This was really helpful advice. Thanks again for the advice. No worries. Happy to help, Sebastian. And happy to have you here. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one as well. It's Cairo! Hey buddy, how's it going? Need to grab one of these roofs instead. Yeah, but that is also a good shout though. Like doing the whole setup where the edges are real geometry and then the insides of it are gonna be parallax. That's also a good shout. It's also a great way of working. Oh, is this also what? I don't want these geo. Oh, never mind. I know why. So stupid. I was copying the geometry node setups. Look here. Probably move one more row. Nice. Vilko, welcome to the chat. Do you have any tips on creating snow for a personal project? I'm currently working on a village with a snowy theme, and I want to add snow on the landscape and on top of the buildings. Your PC is 12 years old. Okay, that's really gonna limit what I was gonna say. Because there is cool ways that you can generate snow in Unreal now with the new geometry scripts. But if you... I mean, it depends on what kind of fidelity that you want to go for, right? You can do it with, excuse me, with decals as well. I was looking into that and using that at the same point. Let's see. Oh, the real snow add-on for Blender. Oh, okay. Oh, but it really needs a good, fast working PC. Okay, never mind then. It's not applicable for Vilco. Oh, that's a good shout, Cairo. Z-Up shader. Yeah. So what Cairo is mentioning there is that you use a shader to automatically detect which surface is going to be at a certain angle or like at a certain axis. In this case, the Z-axis, which is pointing up. And then it will add anything on that axis. So you can then use that as like a mask and then let that drive your snow textures. I'm trying to think, do I have an example? Do I have an example here? Don't know actually. Really think of one. Because I think I replaced most of it with the other stuff that I'm using. You kind of use this as like an example, right? Is that once you rotate your asset, like it will always detect like a top face, and it will use that to just add snow on top of. So you can rotate it no matter what you want, and it will just add it to that top face. So that would be something to look into. Hey, Danny! Didn't realize you were on here. Yeah, this is new though. Like we only started streaming on YouTube this week. So yeah, welcome to the whole new stream. Just making some rooftops at the moment. Like at least trying to finish up some stuff here. All the RS, thank you so much for the subscription. Let's have a look. How do you handle the plaster on the building? Is it also a tileable texture or shaders inside of Unreal? Do you use procedural noise to break up the textures? No, not really. I don't really use procedural noise to break up the textures. Apart from my assets, I guess. Like they have like a slight procedural texture to kind of break it up. That is also like world based. So if I move them around, like you can kind of see it on the moss. But for the plaster, that is just like textures with parallax occlusion mapping that I can vertex paint in and out if I wanted to. So let's see if we have an example here. Going to mesh paint. And I can paint this in and out. Like it's basically switching between a plaster that is just a plaster itself, and then a plaster that has like all the damage built into it. I can kind of blend between the two in this way. And that's also based on like a height map, so you get like these nice looking transitions. Yep, vertex painting. Is this going to upload it later, you think? Yeah. I will have a stream archive kind of thing set up as like a playlist so that you can kind of check that out as well. Yeah, we got a little bit of an acid zoo going on, Cairo. Getting a little bit chaotic at the moment. So let's see. So wall add-on, these are all named perfectly. Let's put them in walls, I guess. You showed a material setup for the vertex painting with the height blend quickly. Yeah, let's dive into it. Here, so this is my vertex paint with a high blend. It's really quickly, huh? Yeah, this is it. Here you go. It's relatively simple, honestly.
it's just, yeah, this stuff is basically just driving the parallax occlusion mapping for the two textures that I'm using. You can make the argument that the plaster doesn't need it, but I want that control in here anyway because this is a master material. And then I just use a height map for the blending to drive all the height lerps here, which are doing the blending between the two textures in a very rudimentary way, explained, like a very quick way. One, two, three. Let's see. Specific source file. Okay. I know we call them walls, right? Eh? Only the first one is in here? Oh, wait, no. Here we... Oh, where's the first one, though? All this time watching you stream, I sit and can't imagine how you do all this stuff on the scene. Yeah, look, to let you know, like, I've been working on this for a long time. I don't know if I have it in a naming convention somewhere, but I called this project 2021. Because that's when I started it, right? So, and it kind of turned into like a little playground over time where I'm just doing stuff that I want to be doing. So, yeah, you just build this stuff up like brick by brick, you know, like very slowly. Hey, Antonio! This stuff takes time. It's also like I said, you know, like I'm not in a rush. I don't really have that much pressure on me right now, so I can just play around and have fun with things, experiment with a lot of things as well. Because I do write like weekly tips for like environment art too. So I'll use this project as like, hey, I discovered this new thing. I'm gonna try that out, and I turn it into like my little playground as well. Have you created the textures? Yep. Everything in here that you see is created by myself. Let's see. I'm trying to think, what did I not create here? Sky? Sky cube map? That's the only thing? Is there a regular live every month? So these streams, which are new, the first time on YouTube, I'll do these every week. So every Friday around the same time, I'll be going live. And we're live on Wednesday as well to give feedback to the people in the community. Wait, so for the add-ons, right? What do we need to do here? Oh, we're just missing these two? It's the same thing, just smaller? Yeah, I guess so. Actually use the big one? Oh, okay, there's a big one. Never mind. Do. No worries. Hi, Rory. Welcome to the chat. The roof tiles has a parallax occlusion shader? No, it's all geometry.
We talked about this before. Like, it could be, it's more of a personal approach, right? What you could also do is have real geo on like the outside and have parallax in the middle. That could also be good. What I'm gonna do with this is once you get at a certain distance, it will just revert to the tidable texture in like the LODs. That's my approach for this. This thing is all screwed up. There it is. Selected the wrong map. I'll try hard to have the skills to make such cool models and textures as you do. Well, thanks. I mean, it took me... I mean, we're talking about a decade at this point, right? I'm sure that you can do it way quicker, but... yeah, it took me quite a while to get here as well. And to be comfortable in what I wanted to do as well, right? Takes time. I think it's less heavy than the parallax occlusion. Yeah, I guess I'm not a technical artist, right? So I don't know the exact comparison, but my artistic assumption is that it's probably better to store this stuff in geometry, which is cheaper to render than doing it on like a material. But hey, again, I'm not a technical artist here, so... would you... let's see, Coffee Diction. Would you recommend learning any other 3D package additionally to Blender, or most studios don't care what software the artist used anyway? So I would not recommend you to learn any other 3D package if you already have the skills to use one. You would only do that when you got like a contract that is signed and sealed and you know that you need to switch to Max because the studio uses Max, for example. I would that's my recommendation. Like, that's the whole the thing that I did as well, right? So in uni I was using Max for 4 years. Then because I went into the industry, they said, hey, we use Maya. So I switched to Maya, used that for 3 years, 3 to 4 years, I guess. And then I switched to Ubisoft, which, let me see. It's kind of messy. Like, I was kind of experimenting with Blender on the side, and then they were using Max, but I was barely doing any modeling at that time anyway, so it was pretty fine. So yeah, I would say just switch whenever you need to, not because you think you need to. That makes sense. Because you never know what a company is going to require you to do, right? Because you could be spending like a lot of time like learning Max, and then the company is like, okay, cool, but we actually want you to use Maya. You wasted a whole bunch of time for nothing. Parallax is pretty cheap, especially with the shadow. I'd love to see a performance comparison for my curiosity. Yeah, I would love to see that too. Yeah. I learned Blender since 2.5, tried Max and failed hard. I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly. Yeah, thankfully the foundations of software are agnostic, 100%. I never cared, you know. I just moved to the thing that is either cheaper or is like more interesting to me to use creatively. Yeah, and for now that's Blender. Okay. this in as well. Yeah, doesn't take ages to load. Is way more stable when it crashes, if it does. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's so personal, right? Like it's the whole better game engine debate. It's like there's no better game engine. It's just a different tool. Like for some people, like they prefer one game engine over the other. Doesn't matter. It's just a tool in the tool belt. Because that's the whole thing, right? Like if you already know like Maya or Max and you want to get into the industry, it doesn't make sense for you to just start learning Blender because I don't know. It's just a horizontal move, right? You're not learning a new skill set. Yeah, just depends on the use case. Exactly. Exactly. People get too riled up in those debates, I feel. And I do have to say, there's also times when I get so stuck in my ways that I rather prefer a hammer to drive a screw into a wall. I mean, I was just talking about like creating my own tree generator in geometry nodes because I don't want to use P-tree, right? It's a personal thing. Like it would have been so much quicker if I just said like, okay, let's use P-tree. But everyone has their little quirks, you know. Sometimes smacking that screw with a hammer also gets the job done, I guess. Okay, so I think we did all the add-ons then, right? Because I actually use one of these smaller windows on the building somewhere. I don't think so. Oh. Yeah, but that doesn't look too great though. All right. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I wanna make something interesting. Let me see if there's anything on my PureF. Oh, that's where you can see it. My PureF is still called Project 2021. Let's have a look. We could actually make a little paint shop with the assets that we already have. Just switch it up a little bit. Yeah. I already have one in the forest here, but don't. Oh no, I broke it apart. That is how you use PureF. Yeah, that's one of the ways of using it, you know? Okay, let's move the PureF over though. Oh, let's just make it from scratch, you know. Maybe we can use this building as like a base. We can actually break this. Why? Then turn that into new blueprint, which we'll call building paint. Yeah, You don't need a shop necessarily. Good. Oh, sorry, Simon. I missed your question. So, have you created the textures? So I did create all the textures, and you always get stuck in the texturing phase. I feel like it's not turning out realistic enough. I tried Megascans, but I want to learn on my own. So actually that's a pretty interesting technique that you brought up yourself, right? Because you've used Megascans before. But what you can actually do is distill the values that Megascans has and then try to replicate those in your own materials to make them look more realistic. So instead of just using Megascans as is, you can use them as inspiration to get the values correct. I used to do that sneakily before Megascans was actually free, because I went to their website and they had like previews of like different maps, specifically the roughness map. And I would kind of be like, okay, cool. So they're looking around, this sort of value range, and I would like sample the values from like the little preview that they had on their website. Don't tell them though. Shh. Let's see. Let's open up this building. So edit. We have these openings. Probably gonna start there. But Megascans uses a lot of photogrammetry. Yeah, exactly. So you're getting real world value out of it, right? Or like as close as you can get with the current techniques. So that's why if you want to get realistic values, it's probably a good way to start with them. Like any other scans, really. And especially now because it's free. And just go to their site and, or like if you think about like recreating an asset, you can just like get it yourself, see how they approached it, and replicate it, you know? Be an interesting technique. What is this? These values are all over the place. Why is that? Make sure that we have grid snapping on. Oh, it's because these values are all over the place as well. What's happening here? When I say these values, I'm looking at these things, right? Like, so the location values. Because I'm trying to snap to the closest grid intersection. But if you're dealing with like these kind of numbers, you're not gonna be able to. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna start anew. Just start from scratch. Let's maybe even go with like a bigger grid setting. Start to begin, like to begin with. Like a back wall there. So that's like our little box, because that seems to me... I have a picture of the outside, actually. Sorta. Like it's more of a rectangular building. You have a door in the middle. I think we should have... one with a door built in, but I think I have an open piece as well. Don't know where I put it. Doesn't matter. See, these roofs are really unfinished. I'm gonna see if we can start using them so that I kind of put some, like, a little bit more pressure on myself to actually create them, right? That's weird. This thing is not in the middle. Rory, may I ask, what did you do when you break on the house? Unreal, does it break that asset into the mesh that composes it? Yeah, so this is a whole new system that Unreal Engine 5 uses. This is called packed level actors, which is basically why the world is gray. I'm technically in a level inside of a level right now. So what the packed level actor system does is it will basically allow you to make prefabs. So like groups of assets that are instanced between each other. Let me give you an example here. So if I just commit all these changes, it's really easy for you to then create like a world out of like a whole bunch of assets if they're all going to be looking the same. So let's say I go into edit, right, which is going to gray out the whole world. So now I'm inside of this level or this prefab. And then if I move this bucket up a little bit and I say, okay, cool, this is how I want the bucket. I want like a ghost bucket in the middle of the air. Commit these changes, and it's going to do that on all the instances of the same packed level actor. So it's a really quick way of like if I'm doing adjustments to these buildings, it's going to update all those buildings in the back because they use the same packed level actor. It's just a really interesting way of working with like instances. So what the breaking does is where you take that blueprint and you break it apart into its individual components again so that you're breaking the instancing effect. That's what the breaking does. And I use that like if I say, hey, this house looks cool as a base, I duplicate it, I break it down, and then I create a new packed level actor out of it so that I already have a base to work with instead of just starting from nothing. Oh. Oh. We're just gonna get rid of this house. Okay. How did you make the building modules? Did you create modular parts, assign planks, and then assemble them together to create a wall? Yep, that's exactly what I did. So I do that in Blender, right? So I have like a whole bunch of, let's see if I, the base kit. These are like my base components of the kit that I use, and then I just combine those into whatever I need, really. And then once I have a wall, I can create like additional variations of a wall using the same kit and just mixing it up with something else. And then once I have like a modular section, I then just add it into Unreal so that I can start building with it. So you're basically making your own Lego kit at that point. Let's see. What do we need for this house? So what they do with paint creation is that they also burn down the minerals to give them like a specific color as well. So I wanna depict that on the outside, but that's probably gonna be like a separate back level actor. So for now, let's just do the interior. I'm just gonna throw in like a bunch of stuff that I'll think I'll need, right? Workbenches. Chests are looking cool. Some crates. I want a table first, though. No worries. No worries at all, Rory. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. Little table here. What are they doing here? So we got to take into account that this is more for like tourists, right? That come to this location. So we're kind of stripping off like all the stuff that's purely made for like displaying stuff. But this is going to be more of like a functional space instead. And maybe like a little bit less clutter inside of it. Some stools. Have a couple of those. And they're kind of selling wares here. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff for the paint shop specifically. We'll need to finish. So we got these, what are they called? Mortars? Where you can grind down the ore into like fine dust. That you can create paint from that. Hey Vivek, thanks. Welcome to the chat as well. Oh, yeah, I kind of... I did make like a bunch of these things, right? Let's keep that for a separate display. Oh, or just dump that in there. Oh, cluster. School. Do you feel some issues with the shadows while working on Unreal Engine 5? No, not really. But not generally. You gotta take into account like this. We're currently inside like another level instance, right? So we're in like the packed actor display. So now it looks all weird. But that's not how it normally looks. Paint pigment. Okay, so how are we going to define this space? So this is where we're going to define a space where they basically grind down like all the stone, right? Oh, they have an interior fireplace as well. That's cool. Oh, and I have some floorboards with like some tiles on the floor as well. Okay, let's start there. Let's do the floor first. That's looking freaking awesome. I've already built like modules for the floor. So we'll start there. See how that looks. And then what we can do is break them up with like additional pieces of wood. Look, little groups, then just duplicate those groups. Always give them a little bit of a love tap, you know. And maybe we put the table on that. No, because I want to have the table in the middle, probably. I do like the stones though, like the contrast that creates. I don't have anything for that though. That's the issue. I do have tiles. Those are more like roof tiles, so can we hack our way through this? Oh, PRF is in the way. Get out. I'm also working on an environment similar to this, inspired by Plague Tale Innocence. Oh, that's awesome. How are you getting along? This is so hacky. I love it. I don't necessarily want to create like some small tiles, you know? You need to watch out with the colors a little bit, right? That dark one really stands out. Oh, I wanted to do... That's cool. Now I really want to make that little fireplace at the end. I need to play that game still. I haven't played it. I haven't downloaded it and anything, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, as I was saying before in the live stream, like, I need to put in effort to play games now, which is so weird. Hi, Joy. What's the minimum machine specs that will be required to run this game? Are you talking about Plague Tale or the environment that I'm making? Because this is not a game. This is just an environment that I'm making. So I do want to, let's see. Can we actually, I mean, you can, right? So shapes, cube. Yeah, so this is gonna be, this is an environment that I'm making. Like, this is, you could use it in a game because I'm planning to sell it on the marketplace. But the people that will be using this are more, they are responsible for the amount of density and detail that they want to put in, rather than me dictating it. Does that make sense? Like this, probably gonna put the stove here. Stove here, and then I have to think what is logical, right? So space that they have is a little bit bigger, so you want to be able, to go around the table. So let's move this assembly up a little bit. Like that. Stretch this a little bit. Is there a link to your RSH profile? Yeah, I can add one. It's completely empty though, because of the whole AI stuff that was going on. I need to reinstate like all my work. Yeah, it's just completely empty. I mean, I'll add it anyway, but there's not too much to look at there. Here you go. Thanks for asking though. So yeah, we got like a little bit of a fireplace going on. I think the tiles work perfectly with that. Need to move them up a little bit. That they're flush, and I'm probably gonna extend this to this side. See if we can kind of build that around. Yeah, something like that. Doesn't look too great yet, but it's a placeholder, I guess. Then what I want to do is I want to make like a wall like this that has one hole in it, or like one window. That actually makes more sense because now the stove is like directly next to the window. Probably don't want that. Like not flush, so that this intersection is no longer there. Hmm. Got a bunch of plates. Let me see. I did make like a bunch of collections. Let me actually use those. It's furniture, carpenter. There we go. You don't want to put like everything full with this stuff. You just want to make like nice mini compositions, you know? Did have some hanging hanging shelves as well. Or like kind of pinned into the wall at night. Got some sets of storage going on. Might need to make like a taller version of this as well. Let's see, let's put some light in here as well. Let me... Can I actually access this blueprint from in here? No, I need to commit everything first. Let's change up the light and make it a little bit darker. Back into it. Oh, what is that? Update? I didn't... I need to investigate what that was. Don't know what that does. Oh yeah, let's see. Got a rush light here. Oh, there's my candles. We want to put them on a nice plate as well. Oh, but this is... Is this gonna work? Candle fire. Point light was not packed. Candle fire was not packed. Okay, so... Yeah, that's the thing. Well... Oh, so it didn't pack the particles, and it also didn't pack the point light that was attached to the particles either. Interesting. So we can't... Oh, if you go into it, it's still there though. Weird. We can't add any lights in it. We need to do that outside of the blueprint then. Weird. You did the particles in Blender? Nope. So the particles, I think they're just one image that I just like keep flipping into like all the time. Oh, I think it was even the old system that I was using. Let's have a look. Particles. Yeah, still using Cascade. Because that's the one that I knew. And it's literally just like a simple plane with a texture on it that I'm just spawning over and over. That's it. That is literally it. Okay, so this is starting to feel quite nice. I like the variation of materials that we have going on. I'm about doing I just love the variation that we can create with these building pieces. Just shove that underneath here. Give it a slight rotation. Was looking nice. Oh, I want to go out of it yet. And let's add some logic to this. So this is... Let me think back. How do they make this? So they ground down all of this, and then I think they put it into like these strainers to then make it into like actual paint, right? Because they add like water to it. Yeah, you can see that here. Like it's actually using the ore, and then they pour water into it, and then let it strain over time, and that creates like a thicker paint because it like absorbs like all of the pigment. Then I think, do these still work? No, they're broken, right? Yeah, because before I made like blueprints. I mean, like blueprints that I could change like the color of, but they're broken now. So I need to fix those. But that would mean, what else do we need? So we got our little workstation here. Maybe we'll move that to the side. So this is where they actually break down the pigments. This is like the grinding station, I would guess. Let's see. Didn't I have... Use these. So... have a look. Yeah, so this is the area where they break it down then. Right, so this is where they take the ore, break it down into dust, and then over here, that's the station where they just let it sit. Like let it strain itself. Where they strain the paint into... Well, strain the ore into paint. Some plate down. Because I'm thinking about like they come in here, they drop the ore in here, right? And then once they're done with the ore, when they're done processing it, they can put it in the rack and like move it over here. And then this is where you get like the paint out of it. Currently all white. That's also because the decal texture was broken. Need to fix that up. And they kind of sell like the paints here, right? I also need to finish these walls because the back of the pillars is actually like sticking out from it. What is everyone doing today? What are we all up to? Is everyone just chilling in the chat, working on their own thing? Watching you making props. Hell yeah. What kind of props are you making, Roy? Defrosting my fridge this morning. Just chilling now. Aw, yeah. Coming in with the adult stuff, right, Danny? Defrosting your fridge. How dare you be responsible? 3D with Laird, chilling, working on a prop and trying to not get nervous for a studio interview later. Oh, nice. I want to ask a bunch of questions. Let me be careful here. Is it your first studio interview? Let me just start there. I was about to ask like the name of the studio, but that's probably impolite. Throwing the chunks into the sink was fun too. Hey, we're responsible. Do you wanna come over and do my fridge as well? Been ages since we did that to our fridge. I think one of our drawers broke because of it, because it was stuck on all the ice. Oh. Yeah. Absolutely not. Damn, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, you couldn't open your freezer. Yeah, I feel we're getting dangerously close to that. I wouldn't say the studio name. No, that's all right. It was that's not a good question to ask anyway. Not my first interview, but the first time I made it to the recruiter plus production manager in the call. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. I wish you all the best in the interview. Some paintbrushes I have here. Oh, the stove is sticking its ass out of the of the building. Let's fix that. Maybe we'll make it a little bit chunkier as well. Yeah, personality-wise, just be you. Pass on defrosting. Oh my god. Open to any advice? I'm hoping that my skill and personality fit well with what they're looking for. Yeah. So, okay. Let's have a look here. Because we do have a whole series coming up on articles, on interviews. It might help you if you want to read through that, but it's technically not finished yet or not publicly out there. Let me see. Where do I find it the quickest though? Damn it. I'll need to send it to you after the stream. Oh, why is it flickering so much? Yeah, that's the system that I'm using. The packed level actor. If I commit changes, then the flickering is all gone. I think that's what you hope with that flickering, right? Yeah, in terms of some advice on the interview, like I know that it's such a stereotypical thing to say, but stress is fine. You know, stress is 100% fine. I'll give you a little insight. Sometimes the people on the opposite side are also stressed, which is not something that's discussed. Because I remember the first couple of interviews that I did, is they were really stressful for me too. But you never know if the person on the other side is also stressing as much or maybe even more than you. You don't know. Very interesting. I don't know a lot of people that know that. But oh my god, like I remember the first interview that I did. So I greeted a person coming in. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit stressed, you know." And I said, "Yeah, we'll all be fine. I'm stressed too." And they were like, "What? What do you mean?" And it completely like broke any ice, you know? They were like, "What are you stressed for?" It's like, "Well, yeah, I'm also interviewing you, you know? This is a big opportunity for you and I don't want to squander it." They were like, "Oh, okay. Interesting." It's completely like neutralized any stress that we both had. Because in the end, what I always say is like, we're both human, you know? Like, and if you're working with people that know what they're doing, or potentially are going to work with people that know what they're doing, they have been in the same position as you've been, like 10 times over. So they know what it is. They know how you're gonna react potentially. You know, they know all that stuff. And also, stress is usually not factored in, or like should never be factored into the process. Unless if it's no, like not even unless, you know, like usually you can tell that people are just stressed, and that's 100% fine. Like I could tell from all the people that I've interviewed, like I could tell whenever people were stressed. And sometimes there's people who are just like something different, right? Then maybe they're bad at talking publicly or something like that. That's a different issue. But when it comes to stress, no issue at all. No issue at all. Okay. I'm just gonna hit this here. Then what I'm gonna do. Might remove this building and replace it with the one that we have. Yeah, good luck. You've got this. Cozy looking house. Yeah. We're getting there. Yeah, I think this was more like an already filled house, and then we've done some changes in between, but I'm probably gonna go more this style with the other house as well. Trying to get some inspiration from stuff that I built before. We got these beams. These are looking really nice. Obviously more filling. We got some shelves on the wall as well with some additional wooden boards. Okay. Not inspired by this. Just add the same sort of stuff in here as well. So much detail. That's where the fun is at, you know? Making stuff that looks like nicely detailed. I love it. I'm gonna do a round pillar. Sticking out of the house. Do you have a time scope for the project or going freestyle? No, no time scope really. I know that it's very unhealthy to not have one, but my passion project, you know. Brave. Well, look, I've already been working on this for 2 years, so I'm not gonna drop it now. I can guarantee you that. I think what I'll do is if I get to it, like I've been, and 2 years is like on and off, right? So that is not like 2 years full time. Because I've been doing the community side of things. I'm building a website, all that kind of stuff too. But if I have the feeling that I'm gonna be done with it, what I'll do, or if I'm just getting tired of things, right? What I'll actually do is I'll probably just salvage what I have. So I've been kind of talking about this like before as well, where I've actually been following some sort of my own advice, where I have screenshots and like areas that look almost finished, and I can get those done in like a week if I wanted to. Right, so like this whole area kind of looking decent. There's some stuff that I need to finish off, but yeah, this whole stuff is kind of already like at a really good place. So I could just be like, hey, cool, I don't want to work on this project ever again. I'll just finish this off and then I'll move on to the next thing. But I haven't encountered that yet. I haven't had the feeling of like, ugh, I'm so tired of this. So I'll just keep on working on it. Which is awesome. It kind of has to do with a lot of things, right? Like I'm also seeing this as it's like, yeah, my passion project. Like this is also the project that I use to like do a lot of my testing. And if I'm writing tutorials, like the tutorials, like all the samples images also come from here. So yeah. Yeah, it seems to be a good approach. I think so. That's why I started advising it to other people as well. Why is this one flipped around all of a sudden? We probably want to have the curved brackets, you know? Get those in there. We want to scale those down because they look a bit chunky. And once we got this going on, we're just gonna duplicate it all over. Work, yeah. It doesn't have to be symmetrical, right? So yeah, we can kind of leave it as this. I really wanna find out where I stored that open. Oh, here we go. Definitely need a more descriptive name for that then. Uh-oh, it's... Of course on the wrong side, damn it. Okay. Let's flip it around. Need a pillar to clean this up though. Oak. Done. Cover up the seams. Oh. Not that peeking through. That's looking nice. Okay, let's see. What do the collisions look like? Oh. What? How does that look like that? What? Why is it showing the old mesh? Oh, is that because we haven't committed the changes? Wait, what about the beams then? Oh, it still stores like old data before we committed it. What? Okay. Good to know. So if we commit that... The reason why I want to check the collision is because I want to know if I can walk around in it. See, where's this wall? Where's it again? It's complex. Simple collision is not set up. Okay, so convex hole. Do it. Yeah, close enough. I just need it to be walkable, you know? Mid, play from here. Don't give me all this stuff. What? Why is it doing that though? Want that. The GPU thing still on? No. Oh my god. Why is it showing me stats? Let's save first. I hate this. Yeah, I set it to off, right? Oh, maybe... So annoying. Yeah, cool. Can I please... Right, we need to figure out how we disable this profiling thing now. I don't know why it's showing it all of a sudden. Uh, stat none? Ah! Not that button. Oh my god, this is... Damn. Matt Fogarty, thank you so much for subscribing. Especially when you're just watching me struggle, like getting rid of like this display. Appreciate it. So, so that's a profiler, right? So how can we... I just want to set it to 0. That's... I thought... Oh. Wow, so annoying. And also it enables it again. This is what people really come for, you know? Thanks for subscribing, VFXR. Like, just me struggling with a profiler. That's awesome. Look. Disable. Let's have a look here. How to disable profiling. CPU profiling. Yep. Well, it's not really that. So. I'm launching the editor. Okay. So. Can I do that? Oh no, because they're launching the editor. No AI login. Doesn't come up here though. Oh yeah, because these are commands, right? Like these are commands when you want to run the editor for the first time. Bam bam. Stat commands. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Very weird. Oh, I see that you're in play mode. Yeah, but that's like it was only showing up when in play mode. And that was the whole thing. So now oh wait, I'm not in play mode now. Okay. It's gone. Okay. It doesn't autofill, but that's what works. Yeah, it seems to be working now. Yeah. No, I can't fit through the door. Solution's too small. I wanted to have a look inside my building. Oh. Guess the building won't allow me in. Like, I see how it is. Building. Why is it not showing up the collision for this, though? Yeah, show collision. Yeah. Oh, so it what? So showing the collision doesn't work on these packed level actors then. What? Oh yeah, because it does do it on this mesh. On these ones? It's a little bit funky. Yeah, I think the doorway might just be a little bit too small. If we do play from here. Yeah. Did not fit through it. Okay. Whatever. We tried. Let's just continue working on this. I'll probably need to do to get the collision working is make the door just slightly wider, you know? That would probably be the easiest thing. Like I could change the character as well, but you probably won't want to do that. Because then you would, if you buy this pack, you would at least expect it to work with the standard mannequin collision, right? So that, because usually games that are created are just based on that. Makes sense. Glad we figured that out though. Glad we figured out absolutely nothing. Mm. Like a chest in that corner. That's a big boy. On one tab. Actually, the big one might work. Yeah. Thanks for all the help in the chat, by the way. Thanks for sitting me through my struggles. Look, let's fill this up with some pottery, shall we? I want to do it. Oh. I did all of that on purpose, you know. I just wanna make sure that you realize that that we struggle with things as well, you know. That's why I was doing that whole thing. I think once we fix all of this stuff, too, where we have the beams coming through both sides of the building, that's gonna look good. Right now, it just looks a bit awkward where you don't have like any beams to support anything. Should we? So, thinking about this logically, if you were making paint, you would probably have a bed in here as well, right? Because this is both going to be your shop and your house at the same time. Maybe what we can do is move. Does that make sense? Did I even have that? Because else we could make this like the little workroom area, and then this is just more like a bedroom kind of situation. How'd that work? You probably would have a separate workshop, right? Especially if you're burning fumes and all that stuff. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. See, I think we got storage in here, right? Oh yeah, I forgot about all this. Yeah, I think so. They're grinding up all this stuff. They're putting that in here, and then they can transport, like, carry that here to then use that later on. Oh, very large basket. Just filling it up more and more. I'm constantly also thinking about, like, where a person would travel. So you come into this space, and then there's still, like, room for you to travel around this space a little bit. Maybe, yeah, this space is way too cramped, but see if we can fix that. Move all of this stuff up. And these barrels are probably going to be a little bit in the way. Maybe since a lot of this is going to be like large objects, right? Because we have like the ores coming in here. So maybe you could make the assumption that all this stuff coming in, all these ores are stored into these barrels as well. Which could make sense. We'll probably have some storage on the back of this as well. I think the paints on the table look a little bit arranged. Yes, you are right. They have like a specific pattern, right? And they're also just the same thing. Let's see. But I have... I thought I had more variations, but apparently not. This technique is only gonna really work on like flat surfaces, so... Oh wait, no. We have other for this as well, right? The building attachment. Through just a little bit. Offset it just a little bit as well. Yeah, I honestly think that this looks pretty good. There's more stuff that we want to do to it, right? Like especially the modular pieces, like we need to refresh them, and the roof needs some proper work invested into it. The basics are here. Let's save it out. Yeah, we need to put in a little bit more time into the details. Looks awesome. Thanks, Suvik. We're getting there, right? I think I need to potentially look back at this other building that we have here. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. It's just having these hanging from there. Add like little shelves. Some coins, got some candles. Yeah. That could all work. Yeah, I like that idea. So having the shelves and having this stuff on top of here as well. I can work really well. Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's do that. Like a last little thing. I do have to go in like 10 to 15 minutes or something. It's time to do some cooking. Just add that here. Shelf? Like a little shelfy boy over here. What am I going to be cooking? That's a good question. That is a good question. I made some slow cooked marinated steak with like Asian inspired yesterday. But something went wrong in the process, so we couldn't eat it. So I made some like mac and cheese instead. What I will be, what else do we, because we make like a whole menu, right? I'm such a big sucker for like automation. So what I have done is we have like a whole list of recipes, and every week it gives us like 7 recipes for the whole week, and then we just have to order all the ingredients, and then I get to cook like something new because a lot of it I haven't tried yet. So we've set that up, which is awesome, you know. It's just amazing to explore like new cooking. But yeah, I don't know what's still left on the menu for this week, mostly. I do know that it was something with minced meat, but I can't remember what it was. Super excited to see the outcome. Yeah, me too. This is gonna take a while, you know. I'm not in any rush. I'm gonna see if I can like really level it up to like the next level with a lot of the assets. And like really put like a lot of polish into it. I'm happy with all this stuff already, right? But I think you can, or I can push it further than it is. That's also what makes it fun, you know? Keep on working on it. Yeah, let's add some of this hanging stuff on the wall. It looked pretty good as well. Probably only around these spaces, right? Too much, probably. I also like it when we're like a little bit closer to each other. That might mean that we might have to hang them somewhere else instead. If we, oh, you know what would be cool to try out is if we can, let's try it now. So I'm thinking if we can add packed level actors inside of packed level actors. Right, because then a shelf could be like a packed level actor with like all these pots on it that I can then use inside of a house packed level actor. Or like prefab. Let's just call them prefabs. Let's see. I don't think it's gonna work. That would be my bet right now. Like, I don't think it's gonna work. Let's give it a try. We have like a small collection. Yeah, let's try to add some clutter in here. What? Okay, so it's saying the current level instance hasn't changed, has unsafe changes. It needs to be committed first. Yeah, okay, so I need to commit the main building first before I can do any changes to this particular blueprint. But this works? What? Let's make sure. So if I then commit this, okay. I was wrong. What? Yeah, if I go into edit, then go into edit again. Oh my god, this is awesome. Oh my god, this levels it up to the next level. Because then you can modularize everything. Because now I'm taking a lot of time, like now I'm making all these shelves, right? I'm spending a lot of time creating these shelves. But what if, yeah, I just make shelf blueprints and then just add them in here? How deep does the rabbit hole go? I don't know. I'm very scared to add like another layer to it. Because at some point it must break. You know? I don't wanna invite that into my project. But okay, let me try one more thing before we round this session off. So if I go into edit, if I then say, can I then make this? Interesting. Take the actor, pivot from the actor from the hanging shelf, right? Because that's a good pivot for this group. So if we then say shelf pottery 01. Oh my god, this is awesome. Okay. Okay. One last thing, I promise. We're gone. I'm wondering how the breaking of a blueprint or like a prefab like this now happens, right? Because we commit changes. This is a blueprint with multiple blueprints inside of it. I then duplicate this. And then say break. Break level instance. Where does that come from? Is that just... I don't know what this does. Levels. Is that like levels deep down you want to go? Okay, so theoretically, if I break one level, it's only gonna break... The Q&A team gonna love testing this when you find it. Yeah. I apologize already. So, okay, so my thoughts on this is that if I now break this for one level, it's gonna revert or like get all the assets from the building, but not from the blueprints that are inside of the building. I think. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. What? It's interesting. Damn it. I just wrote a weekly tip about this as well. Now I need to do some additional changes to it. That's awesome. Okay, so let's try breaking 2 levels then. Wait, hold up. Let me just get rid of all this junk first. was it again? Dunk. Okay, so if I then go in here, break this, and say levels 2, it will break everything. You could have used blueprint pawn actors to make groups too. It's so slow. It's so slow. It's ridiculous how slow it is. If you want to do any kind of adjustment to it, oh my god, it's hell to work with. Because that's the system that I was using before, right? So all the stuff that I had these buildings, right? And if I wanted to change the building, like if I wanted to change the roof position, I drag the roof, and then it would spawn into place. Right? That's so slow. Yeah, for small stuff it could definitely work, right? I think let's see this first. So if I break 2 levels, it's going to break this apart as well. That is so cool. Okay. That is so cool. Because blueprints still have their place, right? Don't get me wrong, like if you want to add any logic to it, like blueprints still have their place, even though you can add logic to the ones that I'm using here too. But if you just want to have logic without any like assets to it, like blueprints are still the way to go. And yeah, what was I about to say? Like, oh yeah, the limitation here is that you can't include lights, or you can't include like any particle systems, right? Because that's what we saw before when I added like little groups of blueprint fires that I've already made. Like it had issues converting them. Like it can't pack lights into it. So you still need blueprints. So I would still need blueprints like this one, for example, where I have a particle system and a light already built into it. So there's definitely limitations to the system, right? And the blueprints are still going to be useful. Yeah, it's interesting that you can stack them inside of each other, though. My brain is just going off of all these possibilities where I'm like, oh yeah, I make like a collection of barrels that I can then stack into like little warehouse things, which can then be like sections of a village, and oh my god, just stacking upon stacking, you know? I wonder if there's a limitation to it, how many you can stack. But I'm not gonna go into it this time. I think that's maybe like an experiment to start out with next time. Just see if we can break it. But yeah. Amazing for our first YouTube stream. I appreciate everyone being here. This was freaking awesome. I loved all the questions that everyone was asking. I hope that all of the stuff that I was saying was really useful too. Yeah, I'll be setting up. So there's a couple of things that I need to do, right? Like, the first thing that I need to do is set up a stream schedule so that you can actually see when I'm going live. So I'll need to do that first. And yeah, there was something else, right? Like a stream schedule. I think that's the most important thing. And then I'll need to send some God, I can't remember now. Damn it, I was planning to send some resources, but I completely forgot. Oh, I think I needed to send like the article series to 3D with Layered, right? Well, I'll do that. But yeah, like honestly, like if you want to stay up to date of when we're going live, like just subscribe, right? That's probably the easiest way. The stereotypical thing is like subscribe and like click the bell button, right? Like whatever you need to do on YouTube now. But I'll set up a stream schedule as well. Oh yeah, ring the bell. That's right. Such a YouTube noob. But yeah, thanks so much for being here. I'll send you the article series, Laird, and I wish you the best with your interview as well. Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, people. Keep making great stuff and stay creative. See you in the next one. Bye.